It's been 1 week since I took delivery of this 2023 Tesla Model Y. So far, the vehicle has exceeded my expectations. Now, how Tesla has chosen to sell and distribute these vehicles is quite a bit different than the legacy automakers. They are selling direct to consumers. So the buying process is a little bit different than going through a third-party dealer as you would with Ford, Chevy, GM, Toyota, all of the normal automakers. In my opinion, the buying process was as smooth as can be, a big improvement over that classic legacy model. I'm going to step you through it so you gain a little familiarity with what my experience was like. So if you're a little bit nervous or unsure of how to move ahead, if you're looking at a Tesla, you can see my experience and ask me questions down in the comments. Your Tesla buying experience should start on the Tesla website. Now, this is pretty straightforward, typical website. Across the top, you've got the main auto models. If you want to read about the Cybertruck and some other things, the Roadster, Semi, those are kind of buried into the menu on the right. But if you're seriously looking at purchasing an available model, here's where you're going to want to start. We'll navigate to the Model Y to use as an example here. And you can scroll through and see all the specs, but I'd recommend watching YouTube videos, watching car reviews to get yourself familiar with the vehicle. This website is okay, but there's much more in-depth reviews there. So you can schedule a demo drive. Depending on where you're located, a dealer may or may not be close to you. I live in Wisconsin, one of the states that actually does not allow Tesla to operate and sell directly to consumers. This is a move that dealers are pushing for, basically to remain the middlemen between the automotive companies and you as the consumer. Personally, I have become accustomed to watching online reviews and contents. I feel comfortable purchasing something without even a test drive because of the amount of information and content out there. And actually, I trust some of these car reviewers' opinions more than my own, in that they get to drive basically all of the available vehicles out there and provide comparisons to each other. Where if we maybe, drive our current vehicle and then this one, it's hard to really get a full picture of what's out there, and that's their job. So I trust them. That's how I personally arrived at the Model Y. So the closest dealers are Chicago and Minneapolis for me. Minnesota and Illinois, each one of them about equidistant between the two is over 3 hours. So I wasn't necessarily interested in doing that. If I was within, a half hour of a dealer, I probably would have done that just to kind of get a taste for it. But there's always this chat option to talk with somebody to help you out. But if you're ready to order, you can simply come to this order now button and it will take you to a configurator. Now, most major automotive manufacturers have these configurators on their website. The unique thing to Tesla is you can order the vehicle on here. You don't need to talk to anybody. Now, some people that may be disconcerting. Myself, I kind of like that. So you've got the option here to go to purchase price or potential savings. I like staying on purchase price. It's actually what you're going to pay for the vehicle. The savings are they take gas savings out, things like that, to do a comparison for you. Kind of interesting to look at if you want, but not real world what you're going to pay. Now, the first big thing here that's in flux is this $7,500 federal tax credit. So they've got some information to help you understand what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. In general, the Model Y does qualify, but at the end of March here, things will likely change, and this $7,500 I don't think is going to go away completely, but it may be reduced, and that's really the IRS is going to, within the United States, is going to set thresholds for the amount of US-made content in the vehicle, and then basically throttle back that $7,500 depending on if, say, the battery components and minerals in the batteries are imported basically from outside the U.S., they're going to throttle that number back. So really, I have not seen good information on what that's going to look like, so we'll just have to wait and see. At this point, obviously, you're not going to be able to take delivery before that happens, so I would recommend waiting until after that guidance comes out so you know exactly what you're going to be qualified for a tax credit. The other thing to know, look back at your your past tax returns and see if your tax liability even is $7,500 for your federal income tax. So it may not matter if this gets reduced to $6,000 if you don't have a $7,500 tax liability at the end of the year anyway. So that's one thing to consider. So the rest of this is pretty straightforward. It gives you an estimated delivery. So we're saying April, June of this year. We're at the end of March right now, so these deliveries are not bad. And you've got two options, the Model Y Long Range and Model Y Performance, both in all-wheel drive. And if you scroll down here, you can go through the different options of paint colors. White is the only color that's included. The other ones are going to cost you additional $1,000 basically for the different paint colors. Blue and white are my personal favorite, and white just so happens to be no adder, so that's what I went with. And then you've got an option in wheels. The 19-inch wheels are included, and if you want to go to the 20-inch, it is a $2,000 adder. That does, notice it decreases your range slightly because they're less aerodynamic than the Gemini wheels here. And there's actually a plastic cover on these. That's what you're seeing to help make them more aerodynamic, and that's why the range is different. Then you can add on a tow hitch for $1,000. Interior, one of the nice things about Tesla and what allows them to keep their manufacturing costs in check, there aren't a lot of options here. So you can do a white or black interior, but both of them are the same materials and quality, which is extremely high. So the white does cost you $1,000 more for that, and I stayed with black. I have heard the white is fairly easy to clean, but I've got children in that, so I don't want to risk white seats. That seems like it might be hard to keep those clean and not marked up, so I went with black. And then you can get a 5 or 7 seat interior. The 7-seater, basically a third row seating, is pretty good adder at $4,000. I wouldn't count on adults being able to sit back there, but you can read reviews and see what that looks like in actual practice, but it's great to have that option. Then we've got enhanced autopilot and full self-driving capability. Again, look at the reviews on what exactly these are. These are a big chunk of change for these. Me personally, it's something maybe in the future I'd want to, but the good news is you don't have to select these. Every Tesla Model Y comes with the ability to do these. So when you after taking delivery of it, you can always choose to upgrade these after the fact, and the price doesn't change. You can do it right from the Tesla app. And the basic one still comes with your autopilot, your auto lane keep. So these are just kind of the additional stuff. It'll change lanes for you automatically. Smart summon, there's a demonstration here where it pulls from your parking spot up to you. That's something you're interested in, you can add it after the fact. Then the big one here, charging. So you want to be prepared. I did a separate video on this. I ordered the mobile connector with my vehicle, and it shipped to me directly ahead of time, so I was able to install it and have it ready for taking delivery and installing the outlet required to have that on hand right after taking delivery. So that's a cool thing to do. And with the wall connector, that's the same thing. You'll likely want to install that yourself or have an electrician install that ahead of taking delivery of the vehicle, so you're prepared to charge right away. So once you make your selections, you're able to select here and then continue to payment. But there is one other option that you can pick. So under the estimated delivery, you can see early delivery options. So this shows you vehicles that are basically in production or on their way already to the locations within a certain distance of your zip code. So for me, this is Minneapolis and Chicago. You can see underneath it, it's telling you where it's going to be delivered. The other thing to note, so right now there's only 2 available. When I was looking, I was checking this weekly or every couple days because this is a very dynamic list. People are buying these very quickly, so it's also an indicator that their demand is quite healthy within the last month or so. I've noticed the changeover on this is very high. This also unlocks options that are not available in the order. So Tesla's kind of interesting about this. It will unlock the option for a Model Y dual motor all-wheel drive, a standard range that has 277 miles of range and is about $3,000 cheaper than the long range model. So if that's something you're interested in, come back and check for this list. But it is interesting that you've got basically configurations in this list that show up that are not available to just order. So yeah, the standard or the long range all-wheel drive right now is going for $54,990. The standard range all-wheel drive is going for $51,990. I know that because that's the one I offered. I wanted to make sure I got it in before this March 31st deadline, so that allowed us basically to take delivery in 6 days after completing order by selecting one of these early delivery options. It's a bit of an unknown when that's going to be available. You don't know if it's in production or in transit to your local pickup location. You just kind of have to go ahead with it unknowing. But in my experience, like I said, it was actually quicker than I anticipated. It was about 6 days, and I got a notification that it was actually ready earlier than anticipated for pickup. But you can come in here if you select one of those that's in production. The red does look pretty sharp too. And then you can scroll down and still have the same configuration. Pick your charging and add on full self-driving or the Autopilot if you want to do that. And then it'll tell you delivery location and then continue to payment. So if you select this vehicle and continue to payment, this is where you then define is you're going to pay it cash, lease, or loan. So if you're going to go get financing outside of Tesla, you'd also pick cash, and then you'd work with your bank or local lender to arrange financing for this. But you can also lease and finance directly through Tesla. I chose the cash option. And right now, today, you only have to pay this deposit of $250, and then once your vehicle is ready for pickup, basically, this forces you to download the Tesla app, and then you manage your delivery through the app itself. And it's quite convenient. I had no questions. I didn't talk to a single or text a single Tesla representative during the whole time. It was very straightforward. The directions they provide on the website and the app step you right through the whole buying process with very little stress. Now, would I recommend doing something like this without talking to somebody or seeing the vehicle ahead of time with a local mom and pop car dealer? Absolutely not. But based on others' experiences through Tesla and now my own, I can highly recommend you do not have to worry about financial integrity of this transaction or anything like that. Now, I would make sure that if you get text messages or emails that they are actually from Tesla, not like a third-party scammer. But the Tesla process is very robust, and I wouldn't have any concerns with financial scamming or anything like that. Of course, you can just do Apple Pay, which is what I did, and this process is very straightforward. There's no negotiating, there's no haggling, so I personally, this is the way of the future. It's like buying anything else you would buy. Here's the price. If you want it, take it, go ahead with the process and buy it. After you do this and pay for it, then, like I said, you're going to be transitioned over to the Tesla app, and you'll get customized communication to you to continue the buying process. Now, once you download the Tesla app to your phone, it's going to have that car or the vehicle that you paid a deposit on attached to your account already. So it's going to give you a VIN number if that is available yet, or as soon as it's available, it will give you the VIN number so you can arrange financing on your own if that's what you're going to do. Now, in my case, there was a VIN number already available because I selected one of those quicker delivery options and it was already in transport to the pickup location. So then the app is going to assign you tasks, basically putting in your registration information, arranging a pickup time and date, and then making final payment, proof of insurance, things like that. And as you upload documentation for that, so proof of insurance, a photo of your existing insurance policy on one of your existing vehicles is just fine. And then it will give you a green check mark on all of those. So it's a very simple process. And you can even link your bank account to the app and make your payment so there's no handling of checks or cash. And everything is done ahead of time going to pickup. So you do not have to spend 3 hours at the dealer going over paperwork and do you want a tire warranty? Do you want a dent and paint warranty? All those scams. So you can bypass all of those and basically you go to the dealer, you go say, hi, is my vehicle ready? Yep, it's right out there, and you're off. I mean, it's amazing, people. For someone like myself, comfortable not talking to somebody, showing me features, I knew all about it ahead of time. I don't want to spend any extra time there. This process was amazing. Now we're going to go to my actual pickup, first drive experience, and show you how that went.
Okay, here we are at Tesla delivery day. Just go on the app here, we arrived. Okay, just had to go inside and get our key cards. Hey, look at that. Check this thing out. Put my foot on the brake, it comes to life. All right, we're on the road, got the mirrors and the seats set up and put our destination in, and we are off. The battery wasn't topped off completely, so it looks like we're gonna have to stop at a supercharger, so we're gonna get our first charging experience in also. But so far, very impressed. This is the first time I sat in a Model Y. The seats are incredibly comfortable. My wife is with me and she made that comment right away, is very premium seating and feeling very awesome inside. She's going to be very impressed with the drive and that this is her new vehicle. Anyway, they did not have it plugged into a charger. It was not topped off, so we're at 82% battery we can see on the screen there. So that's the reason we have to stop at a supercharger along the way, so we'll get our first experience with charging down too. So far so good, pretty cool, very good experience. Just had to stop inside and get the key cards. We were about 20 minutes early, so just had to wait basically the time it took to go to the bathroom and out. Awesome experience there, had everything set up ahead of time, has temporary plates on it, 30-day temporary plates, and they will mail us a registration packet for Wisconsin. I was a little bit curious to what was going to happen there, but they had everything taken care of, so see how this goes. Okay, we're finally getting out of Minneapolis so I can look at what's going on. The battery has gone from 82% or 84% down to 72% already. We haven't gone many miles, but I noticed when I stopped at a stoplight, I can hear the heat pump running, and it says preconditioning battery for fast charging. You can see it's pretty cold out. It's 24 degrees today, and it was sitting outside not connected to a charger. So I think it's using a decent amount of that battery to battery charge to warm up the battery and also the cabin here. So we've gone through quite a bit. It'll be interesting how fast we charge. That'll be my first charging experience at a supercharger, but we've used a little bit more battery than I would have expected, but I think it's because it's heating things up. At home, we do have a heated garage. We're going to keep it in, and that's where we'll charge it. So I don't think we'll see that big energy use on a day-to-day basis. But it also seems like it's slowed down a little bit, the battery usage, as we've gotten on the road, and preconditioning kind of has been happening. Otherwise, very impressed. I can't use auto steer right now. The cruise control is pretty impressive, and we can do an offset from the speed limit. You can see I've done a 5 mile per hour offset. So basically, when I set the cruise, it'll automatically go to that, and then use the front detection to keep from running into anybody else. But it'll just automatically go to 5 over the speed limit as the set point. So that's pretty cool. Enjoying that. And if I try to do auto steer, it's giving me a warning or an error. They're saying it's not enabled. So next time I've got the opportunity, I'm going to put it in park and enable that from the Autopilot menu. So we'll have our lane centering capability. But otherwise, pretty cool. Okay, we made it to our first charger with 44%, which is exactly what it predicted. So pretty good from that standpoint. We'll see what how long our charging experience takes. I know enough to back in. Let's go out. Hey, look at that. Green, we're charging. That was pretty slick. All right, and we get inside, it shows us charging and shows us how much it's costs. Pretty slick. That took about 5 seconds to hook that up and get going. Charging update. So I went in and changed it had another stop before we got home to charge. So it was saying to stop at like 70%. I removed that by just clicking remove all charge stops, and then it recalculated. So now it's telling us to sit here another 12 minutes so we can get all the way home without having to charge again. And it's charging at about 50 kilowatts, getting 200 miles of range per hour, and so far it's cost $7 basically. And while we're waiting here, we can go to our entertainment, go to the Disney Plus app, and we can watch something while we wait. Now you have to say the quality of the screen, that's not what I wanted. The quality of the screen is extremely good. It's better than televisions at home.
I think they're incredibly smart. Yes, as you can see there.
Pretty cool. Decided to go up to the 90% charge limit, just being a newbie and wanting to get the most charge. So it probably took 20 minutes here. You can see it's ramping down to 39 kilowatt as we get more. The charge rate's slowing down a little bit, and it'll be about $11 here to go from 44% up to 90%. All right, we're done, so I'm gonna get out. And press the button here, disconnect. Hey, look at that, closed automatically and ready to get back on the road. All right, we're back on the road after charging, and while we were charging, I took the opportunity to go into settings and turn on auto steer. And the icon at the top here is gray, so it should be available. We have to double click down on the stalk. Oh my gosh. And it locks in our lanes, keeps us nice and centered. And then we've got the auto cruise control too, so basically we need to stay attentive and keep our hand here by the wheel. But already it feels less stressful. And you've got the visuals there that recognize the other vehicles. It's doing a very good job of taking us around this turn. There's a truck up ahead, so it's slowing down. I'm going to go into the other lane so we don't go so slow. And it takes that off, but man, that's pretty cool. I would say that's a awesome feature here. Go back in the slow lane. We'll try to re-engage this. Man, pretty slick. Works very quickly. Awesome. All right, we made it home. Used the mobile charger with my wall outlet to top it off last night up to 90%. Worked flawlessly. The app gives all sorts of information, as does the display in the car. Pretty cool stuff. Tells you, it keeps a running total of how much you've spent on electricity. You can put your local utility rate in there. The superchargers are probably 2.5, 3 times what I pay at home. I'm still spent like $18 worth of electricity at superchargers on the way home. But here's my initial take on the whole experience, the 230 mile basically road trip we did yesterday, and first impressions of the car. It is better in pretty much every way than a gas car. The technology takes it over the top even, but even just getting rid of the autopilot, the self-steering, the acceleration, the fact that there's no shifting, I mean, it's just a better driving experience than a gas diesel vehicle. There are going to be no more gas and diesel vehicles in the medium term. Obviously, road trips are still a bit of a challenge, but even on that road trip, way beyond what we do in normal day-to-day life, maybe 1 or 2 of those a year, it was pretty simple. So we stopped at 2 chargers, superchargers. As you saw, incredibly easy to use, and it took about 15 minutes at each one. And you know, it's kind of it's still a novelty at this point. I'm sure as that novelty wears off and you just have to live with charging in day-to-day life, it's not going to be as cool of an experience or interesting, but it definitely can be done. And I say in the medium term, these are going to completely replace them because they're going to get faster charging, incremental gains. I don't think there's going to be any major battery breakthrough myself. I know they constantly claim that there's this battery breakthrough coming, but those are all in the labs on very small scale. Actually ramping it up to commercial size isn't going to happen for an extremely long time. But they have made and are going to continue to make incremental gains. Increasing the voltage of the battery allows you to put less current in, more voltage at the same amount of power, and decreases charge times because things don't get as hot. And so those are the type of things, it's going to take that 15 minutes down to 5 minutes probably in a relatively short amount of time. And as more chargers get built and they improve the quality of them, Tesla has it nailed. The other ones are junk. You know, you watch videos on those, half of them don't work or 3/4 of them don't work, and then you're
waste a bunch of time going to a different stall and trying to get your credit card to link up and all that nonsense. Tesla has that nailed. So if Tesla type reliability and integration can go across the whole EV market with more chargers, there's nothing holding these back. And like I said, there's many things that are just completely better. Until you drive it and experience it, it's hard to really accept that, I know. But it's the reason the big car manufacturers are on board now. You can see Toyota finally is coming on board. They're all lining their battleships up to hit the EV market. And I'm going to provide monthly updates to let you know how things are going after the novelty of a new car and a new technology wears off. But so far, buying experience, first road trip, thumbs up. We'll see what it's like to live in daily life. The only thing the app and Tesla was not extremely clear on was the registration of this vehicle. Now, it was very clear that they would mail a registration packet to myself for Wisconsin. That's what they have to do. I think they're still working with the DMV to try to figure out how to improve that. So they're going to mail a registration packet. I need to fill out the paperwork, take it to the DMV, and pay my sales tax and plate transfer fee. That's a bit of a pain. I don't like going to the DMV if I can avoid it at all, but not a major deal. The one thing that wasn't extremely clear is that how I would get home or how I would cover that time between getting the registration packet to the DMV and taking delivery. Well, they provide temporary tags. They provide temporary Minnesota tags, which is the state in which I picked it up. So it was a non-issue. That is going to be enough time to allow for me to receive that registration, take it to the DMV, get the transfer completed, and pay my sales tax. Of course, it's always all about money. But so that process worked out incredibly well. I've got no concerns. It's just that fact that they could add to their website or now you will get 30-day temporary tags when taking delivery to cover that time frame. If you found any value in this video and you want to follow along with my family's transition to an electric vehicle, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. Adios.